Thank you all so much for joining me, and I do apologize for the hiatus that I went on for about a week. I haven't been heard from except on like the Twitter and stuff of that nature, and the reason for that is because my phone wouldn't charge. So I had to actually go out and buy another phone. And I bought one that was one model a year older. So, if that's the case, that means that I've got a new phone and that I don't have to rely on waiting 6 to 7 days for my phone to charge, because literally it would stay at 17% or 25% for like 3.5 hours at a time while I was trying to wait for it to charge. And sometimes I would wake up and my alarm would be the last thing that I heard before my phone would shut off and die. So, if that's the case, I would like to welcome everyone here. For those of you who don't know, it is WrestleMania tonight, but I'm just going to go out and say it. If Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens end up winning the tag team championships, this is going to be the first thing that I'm going to say, and then I'll get something else off my chest about Sami Zayn. That, I was poking fun at him 2 weeks ago now, because I didn't do an episode last week. Oh man. Anyway, back to what I was saying. If Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens end up winning the tag team championships tonight, then I'm boycotting WWE until there is justice served, until they have their tag team titles removed, because honestly they should have never even been on the WrestleMania card, let alone night one, let alone anything else revolving around professional wrestling. Do you want do apologize. I do apologize for that brief silence. A lot of you know why that happens from time to time. But for those of you who don't, I basically live beside of my living room. And anytime someone runs down the steps or runs up the steps or I hear the door open, I tend to get extremely quiet. Matter of fact, I'm talking at a very low volume right now, and the reason that is because it seems to be crackhead hour at my house, which is basically like, hey, is dumbass around? And then dumbass will ask another hoopty-dundy dumbass if they would like to, hey, come on up, man, come on up to my room. And then they'll go up to dumbass's room, and then they'll start talking, and then they'll start getting loud and going, ha ha ha, I remember this one night, I got so high, I couldn't even feel my toes. Anyway, back to what I was saying. If Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens end up winning the tag team championships tonight, WrestleMania, whether it's night 1 or night 2, I don't care whether it's April 1st or April 2nd, regardless, whenever they are on the WrestleMania card. Now I remember what I was going to say. Just 1 second. Let me get my train of thought back. If they are on the WrestleMania card, then they honestly don't understand what WrestleMania is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like this grand, extravagant event. And how can you have a grand, extravagant event whenever you've got cancer Tweedledee and Tweedledum, so to speak, no talent losers who happen to be on your wrestling card and have no business being there. Sami Zayn tweeted something. Matter of fact, I seen it, and I had to just stop him right there. I had to say something. I mean, had to is very... But I felt this overwhelming just... You stupid motherfucker, you know? Like, he tweeted a picture that showed Sammy and Kevin facing off against the Usos, and they were basically fighting each other on the wrestling ramp. And it said brothers versus brothers. Okay, let me stop you right there, Sammy. You and Kevin are not brothers. You're both Canadian. That's about all that you have in common, I would assume. Because God forbid I actually do research on the both of you, let alone one of you, just to understand, well, what's his way? What's his background? No, I don't care. I don't care what his background is. It's not important. Also, last year, Sami Zayn was being a clown like he usually is. I'm pretty sure at last year's WrestleMania he was facing Johnny Knoxville and he got chased around the ring by a fucking midget in Wee Man. And before this episode begins, before I forget, like I usually do, forget things. There's gonna be a pattern here that you're all gonna have to conform to and understand. Now it's missing a lot of his title defenses, but one thing that seems to it has a lot of his title defenses, and this will help me to make my point. So try to stick with me here. Jey Uso, Clash of Champions, Braun Strowman, SmackDown, Jey Uso, Hell in a Cell 2020, Kevin Owens, TLC 2020. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about Roman Reigns' Universal, or Roman Reigns' WWE Universal Championship matches that he's had between the years of 2020 and 2023. Pay attention real close to how many times Kevin Owens' name pops up. Okay? Count along with me. I'll act like the fucking Count from Sesame Street. 1, Kevin Owens. Thus far. Kevin Owens shows up again on an episode of SmackDown. That's 2. Kevin Owens shows up again at the Royal Rumble 2021. Daniel Bryan, Elimination Chamber 2021, Daniel Bryan, Fastlane 2021, Daniel Bryan and Edge, WrestleMania 27, which Bryan wasn't supposed to be a part of that match, and as a matter of fact, I feel as though that he should have been taken out the minute that he gave out the ending to the match. Bryan basically spoiled the match by saying that he didn't want to be WWE Champion. He wanted to be a father, because he had a child with some bimbo named Brie Bella. And at the time, I was mad about that. I was mad about the fact that... But anyway, that's a whole nother can of worms. I already made one YouTube video about it where I'd basically discussed what it is that made Daniel Bryan a terrible champion. But they felt as though that they had to include Bryan in that WrestleMania 27 match, because if they didn't, they feared that their audience would be mad at them. I've got news for you guys. I know the whole send them home happy premise, you know, but if this was my company, I would care 10 fucks about what the audience thinks. No offense to everyone who's listening, everyone who's ever listened to my podcast, and for that matter, all of the support that I get who's like, yeah, man, that was a great show. You know, like, I appreciate your condolences as my audience, but listen to what I'm saying whenever I tell you this. The audience effect, the effect that the audience has on a product such as WWE, is one of very minuscule. Just because someone sells more t-shirts than someone else doesn't mean that they deserve to be the world heavyweight champion. Just because someone... Sorry, some fucking jackass right now is upstairs screaming and hollering and I guess pointing about, oh man, this is a lot of drugs. One second. Okay, so she'll be back. So I'll try to make this very quick and very minuscule, because apparently I'm not going to get to have a whole hour. You know, just because someone sells more merchandise or someone is more popular, I'm going to put that in air quotes, popular than somebody else in a company, or for that matter, a certain minority of people, and by minority of people, I mean a certain age group tends to resonate more with one person rather than another, and that's what they call the demographic. But just because of any of those formulas, it doesn't matter. At least it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't play a 5% stake. Like Sami Zayn, for instance, all of a sudden, crowd fanfare. People love him. So you want to know what they wanted to do? They wanted to strap the rocket to him and then say, hey, Sami, we're going to send you straight to the moon. We're going to give you all the championship opportunities that you could ask for. And you didn't do a dick. You did nothing. You did jack shit to deserve it. And that's what pisses me off. If they don't know how to do their goddamn jobs, then I guess I'm going to be on a podcast having to tell them how to do their goddamn jobs. And that's why I'm going to have to go on strike, boycott the fucking WWE until they learn how to get it right. Anyway, Bryan and Edge, WrestleMania 27. Now, how many Kevin Owenses have we went over? 3 thus far. Royal Rumble 2021, an episode of SmackDown, and the TLC 2020 pay-per-views. Daniel Bryan on an episode of SmackDown. It looks like it says Cesaro here, but it's hard to read, and I don't ever remember seeing Cesaro having a championship opportunity at Roman Reigns, but I'm going to say Cesaro Backlash 2021, Rey Mysterio on an episode of SmackDown, Edge Money in the Bank 2021, which makes the second time the Edge has showed up, John Cena SummerSlam 2021, Finn Balor on an episode of SmackDown, and Finn Balor the Demon at Extreme Rules 2021, which was actually supposed to be my first episode, but ended up being my second episode, and also I ended up reviewing it one more time, episodes prior. Oh, on the anniversary episode, the first one that we had, actually. Brock Lesnar, Crown Jewel. Sami Zayn, SmackDown. That makes the first time that Sami Zayn's shown up. Seth Rollins lost via DQ at the Royal Rumble 2022. So Roman Reigns couldn't contain himself there. He grabbed a steel chair and then but that was their way of protecting Seth Rollins because he was on such a roll. I think I hear her coming back. Goldberg, Elimination Chamber 2022. Brock Lesnar, it makes the second time that he showed up. SummerSlam 2022, and that's whenever he showed up with the tractor and he tried to scare Roman. But I think it was Brock that jumped off the tractor. Drew McIntyre, Clash of Champions 2022, which it honestly baffles me that McIntyre's only had one championship opportunity at Roman Reigns. Logan Paul, Crown Jewel 2022. Yes, you heard me correctly. Logan Paul. As a matter of fact, he's got a match with Seth Rollins tonight, the WrestleMania. Kevin Owens, Royal Rumble 2023, which makes the third time that Kevin Owens has showed up on this list. And Sami Zayn, Elimination Chamber 2023, which was just recent. Like a month ago. 2 months ago, rather. Now that it's April, I suppose you could say. And that makes the second time, if I remember correctly, that Sami Zayn has showed up on this list. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Owens once, Owens twice, Owens 3 times. And then if you go all the way down to this list here, Owens 4 times. Kevin Owens has showed up 4 times. Within the time span of 2020 to 2023 to, October 2020 to January 2023. And what that means is if he's able to show up 4 times, but they only give Drew McIntyre, actually, Clash at the Castle. That's exactly when, That's exactly whenever McIntyre had his one championship opportunity, and then after that they were like, okay, McIntyre, we'll just sweep you under the rug. I guess you're just not good enough. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is WrestleMania. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mocha. This is the Gut Wrench Podcast. If I haven't already said it, I do apologize for that long, intro. Elaborate. It was the word that I was looking for, but I just couldn't find it. But anyway, we've got quite the show ahead of us. So why don't we just jump into it? Thanks to Vince McMahon, the regular referee strike has ended. The referee strike will return. The regular referees will return to work tonight. Asshole chants from Triple H. From the crowd to Triple H, as H talks in the third person. It's unlike him to do that, believe it or not. He says what everyone around him at this time says. He claims he is the best ever to lace up a pair of boots. And yes, everyone says it. I am the best. Well, the problem with that is you're only the best, like Austin Aries said last week or 2 weeks ago, until someone better comes around. You're only... Because, I mean, isn't that what Kevin Owens said too, about 2 weeks ago? I remember in the promo. As a matter of fact, I still got the notes for it. I could look back, but it might take a while, so I don't think it's worth looking at what Kevin Owens said 2 weeks ago. Moving on. He's the best ever at to lace up a pair of boots. Triple H does something that is unusual for a champion. He challenges someone specific. Nowadays, it's usually someone specific who challenges the champion. The British Bulldog comes down to the ring to interrupt Triple H and remind him that he wouldn't have won last night had it not been for the British Bulldog's involvement. Vince McMahon comes down to the ring to tell Triple H that tonight he will defend his newly won WWF Championship against The Rock. At the main event tonight, Triple H is pissed about that decision. The opening segment took way too long to get started. Nowadays, you don't see opening segments taking this long, except, of course, on the WWE television. AEW, on the other hand, gets straight to the point, straight to the meat and potatoes with AEW, believe it or not. If you've ever watched WWE and compared it to their predecessor, such as AEW, then you will know what I know, which is that WWE tends to focus more on entertainment, more of the drama, more of the storytelling aspect, and less of the professional wrestling, and you will see many examples of that here tonight, believe it or not. I just got done watching a 2-hour TV show, and I'm here to bring it to you, the fans, and yes, I am rattled. I am a little bit pissed off. I am a little bit shaken up. And I'm here to tell all of you why. Why? Here's why. Not to take anything away from Simon, what's his name? You're all thinking of Cowell. I know that you are. You're like, oh, Simon Cowell, I know him. He's from America's Most Dangerous Criminals, America's Got Talent. Sorry, I forgot the name of the show. No, but I'm thinking of Simon Miller. That's his name. Stupid son of a bitch. Run a YouTube channel. Get more subscribers than me. Pisses me off. Once you get your social security number, it's over. You need to get motivated. It's also announced that Chris Jericho will face off against the Big Show and the NAO, which is the New Aged Outlaws, to hold an open challenge for any team that wants to come out and challenge them for the WWF Tag Team Championships. Spoiler alert, both of those matches are a bust. Ivory, the women's champion, in a handicap match against the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young. Stephanie McMahon and Test preparing for their upcoming wedding. Meanwhile, they are shopping for tuxedos and wedding dresses. If they're really trying to sell the fact that they're actually tuxedo shopping and wedding dress looking, maybe next time they should have a different person showing them the tuxedos and wedding dresses. Maybe next time don't have it be someone we've seen on TV before. Pat Patterson is... Oh, okay. Pat Patterson is playing a clerk who works at JCPenney's. For those of you who aren't aware, Pat Patterson used to wrestle back in like 1940, 1960, maybe. I want to say 60. He was the first ever Intercontinental Champion. He beat Johnny Weaver, or Johnny Weevil, I think, to become the first ever Intercontinental Champion. He used to have a t-shirt he came out with all the time, and it was called, on the t-shirt, it was nothing but black letters, and it said first ever IC Champion. Yes, we get it. You won a championship back in 1970. Get over it. Last night at Unforgiven pay-per-view, there was a lot of shenanigans and that ensued between Chyna and Jeff Jarrett. And if you've been listening to my podcast for quite some time, then you understand that you've had this ongoing feud whenever we go back and look at these older episodes. But this ongoing feud where Jarrett is the chauvinistic male pig who seems to tell women to stay in the kitchen. And last night at the earliest pay-per-view, a woman got in the man's business, according to Jeff Jarrett, and she paid for it. Also, Deborah's involved and hit Jeff Jarrett over the head with his own guitar, and the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young got involved, and they got a double clothesline for their troubles from Jeff Jarrett, and then Tom Pritchard got dropped on his head by Chyna. And if you don't know, Tom Pritchard is apparently the head of the referees. And I thought for sure that he was probably a relative of some sort of their management team, which if you think about it, he probably is, because he's head of the referee staff. 22 minutes in, and we get our first wrestling match after all those segments, including tuxedo shopping and bunch of talking. Ooh, gotta ride a unicycle, bunch of talking. Open challenges. Oh, commentary's got something to say. Oh, here comes Triple H, and he's mad. No surprise. 22 minutes and we get our first wrestling match, and it is Y2J Chris Jericho facing off against The Big Show. Jericho usually makes his entrance with a microphone in his hand so that he can say, "Welcome to Raw is Jericho," when he usually starts to give his opponent of the night an earful of insults is what I meant to say here, but for some reason my microphone picked it up as "and you're," as in you are, "full of." Holy crap. An earful, rather, of insults. However, on this night in particular, it looks as though that his microphone doesn't work until he gets halfway down the ramp. Jericho says since he ended Ken Shamrock's career, that makes him the new world's most dangerous man, and I don't think that's how that works. And now he's going to end the career of the world's biggest waste of sperm in The Big Show. That was really good. 1 out of 5 stars. No fun in this match. Started just as quickly as it ended. Why does it repeat that? It just ended as quickly as it started. Prince Albert joins commentary and talks about how unimpressive The Big Show is, and how he wants to make a name for himself from The Big Show. He basically says, "Oh yeah, I bet if I could beat The Big Show, that would probably put me in contentions for a championship," and he's probably right. But anyways, just talking on and on and on about how The Big Show, oh man, that was a terrible DDT. What, he can't even do a choke slam right. I mean, he sounds like me trying to dog on Kevin Owens because, I mean, Kevin Owens can't do anything right. Prove me wrong. You have yet to do it. Go on the internet and look up Kevin Owens does something right, and I bet you don't find no results. I bet you don't. You want to bet? I'll bet $500 in my laptop, and I mean, it's a pretty slow laptop, but I mean, you'll get $500. 500 wacky bucks. You know, I'll write down on a piece of paper, "I owe you," and trust me, I'm good for it, you know. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. In the WWF, off of The Big Show and Matt Bloom, do you say that you have since made a name for himself? Yes, he has. He's made several names for himself, as a matter of fact. So he talks about how, you know, he would like to make a name for himself here in the WWF, and it's almost like, you know, no one wants to give him an opportunity, so maybe he should go make a name for himself. And like I said, this match ended as quickly as it begun, because almost certainly as soon as the bell rings and Prince Albert comes out, puts on a headset, and for that matter, he starts talking to JR and the King, and then he starts doing commentary with him. He's like, "Look at this Big Show. He's nothing but fat and slow. He sucks." And then all of a sudden he gets into the ring, and then he just starts beating down the Big Show. So I just gave it 1 out of 5 stars. It wasn't that entertaining. It wasn't that good. Stevie Richards gets Mankind's blessing to get his gimmick and be Dude Love. So Stevie Richards comes up to Mankind and he says, "Hey man, I want to know if I could be Dude Love." And he says, "Yeah man, do whatever you want. I don't care. Well, whatever, spread the love, homie." Bring up the inconsistencies in booking for the time period of today. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn taking on the Usos in the tag team championships, because at first Kevin Owens said that he didn't want a team with Zayn. Then 2 weeks later, miraculously, all of a sudden, he wants the team. Yeah, all of a sudden, not sure what changed, but something they did in 2001, become tag team championship, become tag team, is still relevant today, apparently, which shows you just how irrelevant Sami and Kevin both are, because they are relying on what happened in some 2001, 2002, whenever they actually were relevant back then by some fucking miracle. But they're staying relevant. Do you want to know what the best part about this is? Sami and Kevin work for WWE. But you want to know who they're keeping relevant right now? AEW and ROH. The competitors directly to WWE. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Because Sami and Kevin haven't teamed together, technically, since 2001. Since when they signed a WWE contract. They haven't really done any teaming inside of WWE. The last time that they were seen teaming on television was in AEW, because AEW is now, or was, Ring of Honor, because Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor. Nonetheless, it sounds like China is going to take Jeff Jarrett up on his offer for a battle of the sexes later on, but she told her tag team partner to stay away from the ring because she doesn't want to see her tag team partner Deborah get hurt. On the next segment, Steve Austin's music plays, and the crowd gets crazy, but Austin has a bone to pick with Vince McMahon, and everybody knows the budding head rivalry between Vince McMahon and Steve Austin was legendary, mostly because of the relationship that they had on screen. The relationship of a boss and employee, in hindsight, who wouldn't want to come back into work every day, and give their boss the business. Think about it, you would come into work every day, tell your boss to go to hell. I notice a glittering flaw that it took me until I was like 17 years old to figure out, that if Steve Austin was giving Vince McMahon so much trouble, so much grief, he would have gotten fired in any other work environment. That's exactly how it would have worked out, especially considering all of the things that Steve Austin has done to Vince McMahon over the years. He's poured cement on his Lincoln Continental. He's run over expensive Vince McMahon vehicles. He's owned, that Vince McMahon has owned. He's blown up a bus that a few of the employees worked for. It was called the DX Express, if I remember correctly. The week before their Survivor Series pay-per-view. I forget which year Survivor Series it was. It must have been like 2001 or something. He's gave Triple H, Vince McMahon's son-in-law, a near-death experience by dropping him from a maybe 25, maybe 30 feet in the air while he was in a vehicle. Yes, Triple H was in a vehicle. Austin literally dropped him while he was in a vehicle from a forklift that's meant to pick up vehicles. And Austin basically dropped him. Do you want to know what the best part about that one is, though? Is the fact that whenever Austin dropped him like that, before he dropped him, Triple H said, "No, Austin, wait." He said, I'm sorry about the whole running you over thing." Just then and there, whenever he realized that he was about to be close to that concrete and have nothing but solid steel protecting him and glass, solid steel and glass protecting him, did Triple H just apologize for almost running over and ending the career of Steve Austin. And do you want to know how Steve Austin responded? He dropped him. And then afterwards, he flipped him off. You won't see a rivalry like that anymore, man. It sucks. He sprayed them down with beer. He's done a lot of damage. Let's put... Anyway, back to the program. Steve Austin has a bone to pick with Vince McMahon, simply because earlier in the night, McMahon chooses The Rock to get the title shot that Steve Austin was earlier told that would go to him tonight, so might have a few things to say about that. Steve Austin might have a few things. Vince McMahon comes to the ring with a microphone in his hand, and he tells Steve Austin he will get his championship shot at No Mercy, their next pay-per-view, no matter who the champion is, because there is a championship match later on tonight between The Rock and Triple H, as I've been saying. No matter who the championship is, whether it be The Rock or Triple H, the new champion who won his title last night, a GTV segment. It's hard to understand what exactly I just seen. It looks to be one of the three Mean Street Posse members in Pete Gas. For whatever reason, he is almost naked with two other guys who are seen to have towels around their waists, and one woman entering the room and asks if they are ready, in which that they appear to be yelling at her that she is, quote, used, abused, and yesterday's news, and tells her to hit the bricks and kick rocks, sweetheart. Because they want nothing to do with her. Pete Gas then storms out of... Hang on 1 second. Pete Gas then storms out of the... Those of you who don't know, GTV was a controversial way for Eric Bischoff to create some behind-the-scenes looks at what goes on when WWE superstars or certain shows, and they just seem to have a lot of free time to do whatever they damn well please. And some of those scenes, though, they may or may not, actually be like real. Like, for instance, you're not allowed to put cameras in a bathroom, right? I mean, let's be honest. That's just something that you don't do. You don't put a camera in a bathroom, right? So this next GTV segment that I'm about to tell you about, that I've seen on YouTube multiple times, will make you question whether or not the GTV segments actually were spots or not. So anyway, that in which that I'm about to tell you about involves Triple H and the Big Show. They appear to be a camera in a bathroom, and Triple H and the Big Show are using urinals that would appear to be side by side each other. And Triple H looks down at the Big Show's penis, presumably, and says, "And they call you the Big Show?" And then he laughs at him. And then afterwards, he gets knocked out while he's trying to take a piss. And then the GTV segment ends. So he looks down at his penis, looks up at the Big Show, and then says, "And they call you the Big Show." Like they should be calling you the Small Show or something. European Championship match is Steve Blackman versus D'Lo Brown. The referee is wearing a cast. I gotta say, this is the first time I've ever seen a referee wearing a cast. In a way, wouldn't that prevent them from doing their job? And if they are hurt, wouldn't it be sort of a dangerous situation to put them in between two men who are trying to choreograph a wrestling match? How in the hell is he supposed to count to three using the referee? His arm is basically... So basically what I was trying to write down here but somehow got confused by it is the fact that in a wrestling match, in most cases, all that you're going to be able to understand is that the referee in question has to have both of their arms, you would figure, to break up certain, hey, don't get in his face, don't spit on him or whatever. And especially so that you can do your fucking job, which is in a timely manner, so that you can slap the mat if you would need to do that. And in this case, this referee who has a cast on seems to not understand that, I'm guessing. As Steve Blackman faces D'Lo Brown, and this match is almost over as soon as it begins, just like the Chris Jericho Big Show match. And I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. It ends in a disqualification with Blackman just taking D'Lo out with a kendo stick. Draws pukes on D'Lo. So Draws was on commentary, and then afterwards he comes out and apparently allegedly pukes on D'Lo Brown as he was being caned on, because Steve Blackman took a kendo stick out of his gym bag and proceeded to beat thine ass. Mick Foley has a special present for The Rock on this night. He's hiding something or someone under a blanket, and he's talking to them. Meanwhile, they're not saying anything back to him. He's got balloons in one hand, he's mumbling about The Rock and Sock, and he's got presents in the other hand. Walking down to the ring, presumably present The Rock with a gift. Jerry Lawler with the line of the night, and you guys are going to love this one. Jerry Lawler is absolute gold here. Are you ready for it? Get the pen and paper ready, okay? So, he says, "I heard when Mick Foley was born, his dad went down to the zoo and threw rocks at the stork." Got him. Anyway, really heavy emphasis as The Rock makes his entrance. Jim Ross plugs the website that's probably not even up anymore, therock.com. So you should really go check out therock.com. There's a lot of interesting things happening at therock.com. The stock of therock.com just went up. Maybe you should pay it a visit. Like, I get it, Ross, I get it. Okay, so this is the longest segment that I've ever had to make notes for, but just bear with me here. This is Your Life segment begins. This is honestly one of the most entertaining segments that you'll ever see. Ever seen an episode of professional wrestling? They have a lot of the off-the-wall segments. And let's get to those off-the-wall segments right now before that lady comes back, starts yelling. Sometimes I will do my best to do this one justice. It's truly magical. Mick Foley comes out to the ring and he tells The Rock, "This is your life." He's got a few people with him. Including The Rock's old PE teacher. I do apologize for the elongated silence. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's never my intention to bring you nothing but dead air or, just silence. The Rock's first girlfriend, The Rock's PE teacher, confetti and balloons start falling from the sky. I guess it's some sort of third-degree celebration. People in the crowd start popping the balloons as they fall from the sky, and you can hear them being popped. They're getting caught on the TV microphone, and Jerry Lawler says, "It's like a fireworks display in here." That's how loud they're popping those damn balloons. Who was supposed to be The Rock's home economics teacher in the 6th grade, and introduces her as Mrs. Griffith, but the display on her name graphic on the television viewers shows up as Mrs. Sherbert. 1 second. I'm going to have to mute again. The Rock says he remembers Mrs. Griffith, and she would never let him cook pancakes in her class. She always wanted him to make chocolate chip cookies or muffins. Then, a week before summer vacation in the 6th grade, The Rock got told by his home economics teacher that he would be able to make his pancakes. But then a day later, the home ec teacher told The Rock she was all out of pancake mix. The Rock tells her to know her role, shut her mouth, and take a stroll down to Know Your Role Boulevard and take a right down Jabroni Drive and check yourself into the SmackDown Hotel. The Rock says to the coach, okay, so here's what happens. Mick Foley basically brings out The Rock's old football coach. high school football coach, Mr. Epperhart, I think he says. The Rock says to the coach, the last game of the season, The Rock DDT'd the opposing team's quarterback to win. The opposing team's quarterback asked The Rock for a high five after the game, and the coach that night, whenever they got back to the school, made The Rock run laps. The Rock never forgot. The Rock says he would like to take the coach's whistle, shine it up real nice, and turn that sumbitch sideways and stick it straight up his candy ass. The Rock says, then Mick Foley introduces The Rock's high school girlfriend, high school sweetheart. He tells the story about every Saturday night when he would be at her house and then would be making out with her, and she would be whispering in her ear. And she would be whispering in his ear. To go for it, try for second base. Jerry Lawler on commentary says that he used to look back. He used to love to be a ball player, go for second base. So, Jerry Lawler is just pure gold here, I swear. But aside from that, back to the story. The Rock would slowly slide his hands up her thigh, and apparently she would do nothing more than be a tease and cut The Rock off at second base. Jerry Lawler says that Moses couldn't part her legs. I swear to God. He says to get her poontang ass out of here. He said, I had no way of knowing. So Mick Foley, after striking out 3 times, he's basically like, you know what, Rock, I'm so sorry. This is supposed to be a celebration. They brought out the birthday cake. They had the fucking confetti. They had the fucking balloons. They had everything, So Mick Foley says, he had no way of knowing that your girlfriend would be such a skank, that your home economics teacher would be such a bitch, and that your football coach would be such a jerk. Mick Foley also brought presents, and one of those presents happens to be a sock, in which that he aptly named Socko. There is a clown, and apparently her name is Yurtha. I guess she's a German clown, hell if I know, and she comes out from under a cloth, and she hiding from the play. Oh, okay. Whenever she comes out, doink, the clown's music starts playing. I'm not sure how the fuck my speaker got that one wrong. But anyway, Jerry Lawler with another line as the clown is singing Happy Birthday. He says the last time he heard singing that bad was when he watched his cat get neutered. Swear to God. Also, the birthday song Happy Birthday is owned by Warner Brothers. If they wanted to, they could sue, because it was the exact song itself. So whenever you're going to sing a copyrighted song, so I don't know how true the story is or whatever. I'm going to not look at my notes on this one, but apparently Apparently there was a lawyer in a diner. Not sure what the name of the diner was. Let's say IHOP, for instance. And for whatever reason, the employees started singing the birthday song. Whenever they did, the lawyer overheard, and he sued the entire franchise. And whenever he did, he got $600 million for Warner Brothers, because they own the birthday song. You cannot sing that without written permission, and unless WWE had written permission, which is very unlikely. This was televised to thousands, if not millions of people, or the birthday song was recently purchased by Warner Brothers, and it wasn't purchased when this episode aired. But even then, doesn't that bring up the question, if a lawyer were to see that on Peacock, could he still sue them? The Rock's birthday is May 2nd, you stupid son of a bitch. So whenever he's finally done with This Is Your Life, Rock, and the cake gets brought out and everything. The Rock's birthday is May 2nd, you stupid son of a bitch. And then Triple H comes down to spoil the party, and he's got a sledgehammer in his hand, and he's trying to jump The Rock with it before their match later on tonight. The Rock dodges the sledgehammer shot, runs to the ramp, and starts pointing at Triple H and the crowd, chanting "asshole" to Triple H. The New Age Outlaws Championships, Tag Team Championships match is on the line. I don't know what that was. I just had a stroke. The New Age Outlaws Tag Championships, the Tag Team Champions, forget it. The Road Dogg, one half of the New Age Outlaws, and Billy Gunn, the other half of the New Age Outlaws, versus Kane and X-Pac. A DQ finish when the Holly Cousins interfere, claiming that should have been their match, and I give it 1 out of 5 stars. The women's champion, Ivory, in a small feud with Mae Young and the Fabulous Moolah, who I talked about previously, should not be revered as some hero, because if anything, she held down the women's wrestling business, especially women's wrestling. I said she held down the women's wrestling business, but what I meant to say was she held down the wrestling business, especially women's wrestling. Jerry Lawler says he saw the Fabulous Moolah having her birth certificate checked by the doctors, and it was in hieroglyphics. God damn it. Just Jerry Lawler, man, every fucking time. They were talking about how old the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young are, and apparently, according to Mae Young, in a prior interview, she said that she was in Memphis Wrestling, Memphis, Tennessee, in a company known as Memphis Wrestling the night that World War II, took place, got declared. And she must have been a very young lady. But at this point in time, 2002 maybe, she was 79 or 78. They keep saying that she's in her, quote, late 70s, which would discount anything from mid-70s, which would be 74 to 76. So she would at least have to be 77, if not 79. The referee counted a 1 count during an evening gown match. Oh yes, I forgot to mention this. This is an evening gown match. How do you win an evening gown match, you might be asking? You have to pull your opponent's evening gown off and expose their lingerie, which is underneath. But the referee counted a 1, even though you're not supposed to count pins during something that has nothing to do with pinfalls. I give it 1 out of 5 stars. My question is, why is this your co-main event? I understand that there was a storyline we're trying to keep relevant at this time between Mae Young, I spelled May wrong for some stupid reason, and the Fabulous Moolah and Ivory. But I feel like it should have been at the beginning of the program. China and Deborah versus Tom Pritchard and Jeff Jarrett. We get the "We Want Puppies" chant, which of course is referring to Deborah's titties and probably Miss Kitty's titties. 1 out of 5 stars. Tom Pritchard hits Deborah. Hits Deborah. No, he doesn't. He hits Jared. Tom Pritchard hits Jared. That shouldn't say Deborah. But Tom Pritchard hits Jared with the guitar, and he falls on top of China. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. Tom Pritchard hits China with the guitar, and China falls on top of Jeff Jarrett, and she ends up winning the match, which wasn't what Tom Pritchard nor Jeff Jarrett wanted to happen. Because they made a deal that if China could beat Jeff Jarrett, then China would get another Intercontinental Championship opportunity. It's almost like the entire night was nothing more than squash match after squash match after squash match to fill time with commercials so that they could just have one match that they are hyping up all night to get the title off of Triple H, because The Rock seems to be the hot commodity in the time at this time, judging by the fact that they're pushing his merchandise, that they're plugging his website, and he's involved in a lot of segments. Steve Austin will provide guest commentary, is what it looks like. Heavyweight championship match, and we are at our main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the lightning round, and yes, I did skip over like 10 or 12 paragraphs that I put on my notes, but I've got some douchebag crazy motherfucker who wants to keep walking right where my room is, and I'm just going to go ahead and get straight to the action, because nothing that I skipped over wasn't all too much important. I probably shouldn't have spent the first 20 minutes of this podcast talking about some irrelevant dog shit that had nothing to do with this show right here, and had more to do with the fact that I am, after tonight, if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn win, I'm striking WWE. That means only AEW and only Impact Wrestling and AAA Wrestling. I would say WCW, but unfortunately that is under the umbrella of WWE as a technicality. So no, I'll find something online to watch. I mean, I could do a podcast that's not about wrestling. I could do a whole entire episode of me just making snow angels. And it might consist of me saying, "Oh, that's a good one. I like that one." You guys would probably like that one too. And then me making a whole bunch of noises like this. Hitting my bed for whatever reason. Humping my pillow would be a lot more entertaining than anything that Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn can do. That's for damn sure. Oh yes, and this past week, ladies and gentlemen, not only do I have merchandise, which is another thing that I can say that I have, that I'm independently contracted, by the way. I have independently contracted merchandise, unlike Sami Zayn, who his merchandise, on the other hand, gets about a 50-50. So he gets about 50% of the money that people pay for his merchandise. The other 50% goes to WWE. And on top of that, he probably gets less than 50%. Do you know why I say that? Because he still has to pay vendors. He still has to pay people who move his merchandise. People who make certain... Like, remember the episode of SpongeBob wherever he was selling like how to teach people how to blow bubbles, whatever. He had like that stand or whatever it was, and then it said bubbles, 50 cents or 5 cents or 25 cents. Well, those people who are at those concession stands, he has to pay them. WWE doesn't pay them. He literally would probably have to walk up to them and then say, hey, how many t-shirts of mine did you sell? And then he would have a piece of paper basically stating 25 Roman Reigns t-shirts, so many Sami Zayn t-shirts, whatever else. And then those receipts would be handed to Zayn, and Zayn would have to pay whatever it is. I think it's like half. I could be wrong. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm going to get straight to my point, of course, being is that I don't have to pay anybody to do that, because the website does that for me. Well, I'm sure they don't take any money, but what I mean is the website pays me. And if you haven't checked out my store over on Redbubble, sorry for the elongated explanation to get to my point. My point being is that that's another thing that I've done that Sami Zayn hasn't. Even though we both have merchandise, only one of us gets to keep a 100% of our profits, if that makes sense. And that's another thing that I've done that Sami Zayn hasn't, and that's being a commercial. Because I did look for a few WrestleMania commercials, and I didn't see his logo, his likeness, anywhere on any of these WrestleMania commercials. It's interesting. I was in a commercial this past week. You guys should probably check it out. It's over on my Twitter at P1_BBAY. If you want to go check that out. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. The heavyweight championship match is Triple H, HHH. The champion takes on The Rock. They go outside where the crowd area and the referee's not counting usually. Now, they did not say that this would be a no disqualification matchup. The referee does not start counting to 10, and whenever doesn't make the count into the ring by the 10 count, gets disqualified, counted out, or eliminated. The referee is not doing his job. The British Bulldog interferes, attacking The Rock. The Rock wins the match via disqualification, but The Rock cannot become the new champion because the title cannot change hands from a disqualification finish, and I give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you all so much for joining me. I've been Mocha with the Gut Wrench Podcast. For those of you who still don't understand what it is that my goal is, I do believe that I've already said it at least 3 to 5 times. I'm starting to lose my voice. I need to go down to the gas station, get some soda, and I'm going to enjoy my 2 days off, and I guess whatever's left of the WrestleMania event, which honestly I could care less about. My name is Mocha. Thank you all for joining me here on the Gut Wrench Podcast that comes on every Saturday night, or at least it should be every Saturday night. That's a wrap. Good night, everyone. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.